Hello everyone, welcome to Hooray. This is the briefing session for the OET preparation. OET stands for Occupational English Test, and it is a test which is conducted twice every month. Beginning to also have computer-based tests, but paper-based tests is still more common and preferred by candidates. I'm going to share my screen with you now and share a PPT with you with the basic tips and techniques of the 4 modules or subtests of OET. I hope all of you can see my screen where it says Occupational English Test. OET stands for Occupational English Test, and this is the introduction of the briefing session. OET stands for Occupational English Test, as we have already seen. It is recognized in the different countries like Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Dubai, UK, and Ireland. And for the last 3 years after the COVID-19 situation, it is also accepted in USA, but for nurses and doctors only. OET is a specially designed test for healthcare section practitioners. The healthcare sector practitioners would include 12 professionals, which we'll see in the next slides. Whoever is moving to English-speaking countries required to do this particular test. The OET test proves the English language proficiency in a healthcare sector. All the questions would be based only on healthcare sector. Maximum time limit for the test is 3 hours, and the OET test is valid for 2 years from the date the test is taken. Who can take the OET test? Let's look at the 12 professionals. Dentists, physiotherapists, occupational therapists, veterinarians, dietitians, pharmacists, nurses, medical doctors, radiographers, speech pathologists, optometrists, and podiatrists. Here's how the scoring is done. 4 subtests, that is listening, reading, writing, and speaking, are reported on a scale from 0 to 500 in 10-point increments. They're all rounded off to tens, like 350, 360, 370, etc. The numerical score will be mapped to a separate letter grade for each subtest, ranging from A grade to E grade. A is the highest and E being the lowest. There is no overall grade for OET, only the individual scores are considered. The test taker has to score a minimum of grade B in each skill to satisfy the professional board's requirement. Nurses can also get a C+ for writing, and still they're eligible to go to the English-speaking countries. In order to meet the requirements of AMC, that is Australian Medical Council, the test taker has to pass on all the modules in one sitting, but now there is also clubbing included, so you can club your scores after you're doing the following tests. Here are the 4 modules or subtests in OET. They are listening, reading, writing, and speaking. This is the overview of the 4 subtests. Listening is for 50 minutes, reading 1 hour, 60 minutes, writing 45 minutes, and speaking 20 minutes. Let's look at this whole thing in the other slides. They're all explained in detail. So for reading, there are 42 questions. Recording will be played only once. There are 3 parts and 42 questions. Part A is for 10 minutes. There will be 2 consultation audios. There will be a conversation between the patient and the healthcare professional. You will have to complete the notes, and in each audio there will be 12 blanks. So there will be 12 gaps which you have to fill, and you have to write the words in the gaps. This part A assesses the ability to address, understand, and note information about the patient. After one consultation, which goes for about 5 minutes, there will be another consultation of a different topic, different scenario, and different health problem. And that will again be having 12 blanks. You have to listen to the audio and write the answers. You will have 30 seconds time to go through the questions before you start. In part B, you'll have about 10 minutes. There will be 6 extracts here. Part A is called consultation extract. Part B is called short workplace extract because they are interactions between healthcare professionals. It's from one colleague to another colleague. Usually there's no patient included or involved in these discussions. There'll be 6 of them and you get 15 seconds time to go through the question. And this is an MCQ kind of question, which is multiple choice question. You have a question and you'll have to read the options and mark any one answer. You have to just shade the circle. Either it will be A, B, or C. That there will be 6 questions, one after the other. So part C is again 2 long recordings, which goes for about 15 minutes. And this audio is a presentation on a topic, or it could be an interview style, a discussion between 2 people. But the topics would be again only on healthcare. There'll be 6 questions for each audio clip, and you have to listen. Before you writing your answers, you will get 90 seconds time to go through the 6 questions and options and underline the keywords and mark your answers as you listen. Part C assesses your comprehension of ideas and experiences. So part A, you have 30 seconds time. Part B, you have 15 seconds. And part C, you have 90 seconds time to go through the questions. Now let's look at the next slide. Let's look at some strategies for part A and tips and techniques as to how you can address these questions. Listen for details, including the patient's symptoms, medical history, and treatment. Headings and subheadings would be as cues for you. So when you note the side heading, the subheading, which would be in bold usually, you need to identify that the answers would be the words which are in the heading or subheading. You have to scan the notes to identify the important words. For example, if it is given described as, you will have an adjective, which is how the patient describes the pain or the problem or the symptom. Whereas if you get diagnosed with, it would be the name, it would be a noun form, where it will be what the doctor or the medical professional diagnoses the health issue with a certain name. You'll also get questions of recent medical history as common topics. You may also get current medication, lifestyle choices, past surgeries, and illnesses in your blanks for note completion. The current symptoms would also be mentioned. You may use idioms and phrases to identify the correct information in long consultations. Not all the info is medical. That means the information about lifestyle choices, for example, that's not necessarily medical. So they may talk about this person's marital status, like the person may be single or married or divorced or a widow, widower. Those are all not medical information necessarily. You may also get the habits that the patient is into. Maybe the patient smokes cigarettes or drinks alcohol. Those pieces of information would not be related to the medical aspect. Patient's current and future treatment would also be given. Finding their treatment would also be some of the points. So you just describe the treatment as they have been following so far. You practice these strategies for completing the notes in listening part A. Now let's just look at the next slide, part B. For part B, the strategies are, you get 6 small questions, workplace scenarios. It's called workplace extract, short workplace extract. You identify the question type first, then choose the answer that relates to the spoken information. Practice strategies for answering, watch television programs, and familiarize yourself with common vocabulary. Let's look at part C and some strategies for part C. You have to keep up with the audio. Keep up with the audio means you have to keep following where they are talking and don't get stuck with any one particular question. Keep moving on. Keep up with the conversation as they're talking. Look at the question number that you're attending to, and then you follow. So part A would be 1 to 24, part B would be 25 to 30, and 31 to 36. 31 to 36 would be the first extract in part C, and 37 to 42 would be the second extract in part C. Focus on the points highlighted by the speaker. Listen for word stress, voice modulation, listen for intonation to get some clues. Learn common idioms and phrases. They may use them sometimes. Focus on examples and theories. Keep track of recording and its question. Highlight the words and phrases. Listen to the context of the sentence and pay attention to the instructions carefully and follow them. Use one question to anticipate the next question. So since they're all related to the same topic, you can anticipate what the next question will be. So because there is a continuity here. Out of the two extracts, both the extracts will be on different topics. Once one extract is over, you come to the other extract. Now, with this, we come to the end of the listening module. Now, let's look at the reading subtest and the description of the test. In reading also, same like listening, there are three parts, part A, part B, and part C. In part A, you have 4 small texts in boxes, and they're all related to the same topic on healthcare areas. There will be 20 questions which you have to answer in part A, and this has to be done within 15 minutes. The 4 texts will be labeled as text A, text B, text C, and text D. There will be a variety of question types. There will be practical reference documents for specific conditions and treatment. So here, you have to complete 15 minutes, 20 questions. So which means you do not even have 1 minute per question, so you have to be really fast. We'll look at the strategies for this in the upcoming slides. In part B, you have 6 extracts. They're all workplace communications. You can spend about 10 minutes. So once your part A question answer sheet is taken, then you get part B and C together. You finish these 2 in 45 minutes. So totally you have 1 hour. 45 plus 10, 15. 45 minutes for part B and C together, you get 45 minutes, and part A is 15 minutes. So part B is called workplace extracts. We'll again have things related to your workplace. So those questions are all, again, MCQs, multiple choice questions. You have to just shade the answer, either A, B, or C. In part C, you'll have 2 long passages on different topics which are related to healthcare, and you'll have 8 questions each. You have to spend about 35 minutes time for this. So 35 minutes approximately should be spent for part C and about 10 minutes for part B. So that totals up to 45 minutes. Let's look at the next slide. Here are some strategies for part A. There will be 4 possible task types or question types. One is matching information. Usually for question numbers 1 to 7, you will have a sentence and you have to say in which paragraph, which text it is extracted from, either A, B, C, or D. You just have to write the letter. There will be also short answers from question numbers 8 to 14. You will have an open-ended question and you have to write a short answer of 1 word or maybe a phrase of 2 to 3 words. You just have to answer the question. Then you will also have sentence completion or note completion, which means that they're fill in the blanks questions. Here you read the question sentence, underline the keywords before and after the blank, and then you choose the word from one of the texts in the blank. Here also you have to just write a short answer, either 1 word or a short phrase of 2 to 3 words. First task will always be matching, followed by 2 of the other 3 types. Part A questions, there are 20, which will be split across 3 to 4 groups, and only specific information needs to be written. Now let's look at Part B strategies. In Part B, you'll have skimming and scanning processes. Skimming means quick reading. You have to read fast and you have to just understand the context. Quick reading is called skimming, whereas scanning is doing detailed reading. When you do detailed reading, you will be looking for specific pieces of information. So you have to read it twice or thrice. While you skim, please don't reread the words. It will slow you down. Just read once quickly. When scanning, you may have to read 2 or 3 times until you understand and find the answer. You have to identify the main ideas and look for details as well. Answer a question about a specific part. Select relevant information from healthcare texts. Reading through the instructive material is always required, and pay attention to signs and notices in English. Let's look at Part C. Briefly looking through the text to help you to understand the general meaning is always useful. Just look quickly, glance through it, and look for cues and prompts. Vocabulary and reference questions would also be given. For example, they may ask you in paragraph 2, what does the word there mean? So they're giving you a reference to a specific area of the passage, and they're referring to that paragraph and asking you what that particular word means in that context. So those are called reference questions. You also will have vocabulary. Certain words meaning would be asked for that in that context. Articles published for a healthcare audience in a healthcare settings would be used. Articles would be used for this. So healthcare articles are used for these kind of questions. And general healthcare terminology will be used. So you'll be familiar with the general healthcare terminology. Let's look at the next module now, or a subtest, which is speaking. Speaking is in the afternoon, usually on the exam day. In the morning, you would have listening, reading, and writing. And speaking would be in the afternoon after your lunch break. The total time for speaking is 20 minutes. And for the first 4 to 5 minutes, you have to talk to the interlocutor. And that is called a warm-up session. This warm-up session is not going to be assessed or not going to be scored. It is just an exercise for you to become familiar with the interlocutor. The examiner is called the interlocutor. So the test is between the interlocutor and the candidate. Then they're not called examiners, here they're called interlocutors. But the scoring is not done by the interlocutor. Scoring is done by 2 different examiners. After the test is over, the recording is sent and they evaluate it, listening to the recording based on the parameters. You will have 2 role plays after the warm-up session. 2 role plays will be on different situations and they'll be one after the other. They will be specific to your healthcare profession. So speaking and writing are specific to your profession. So the 12 professionals we saw who are eligible for OET will have different question papers for writing and speaking, whereas for reading and listening, question papers are the same. This is a face-to-face examination between the interlocutor and you. Let's look at the description of the speaking module or the subtest. You will be given 1 role play card at a time. And you will not be given the interlocutor's role play card. You will not know what is in the interlocutor's role play card, but it will be correlating to what you get in your role play card. The interlocutor's card will include information that is not included in your role play card because the interlocutor plays the role of the patient, whereas you will be the nurse or the doctor or the physiotherapist or dentist, whatever profession you are just going to be yourself, but the interlocutor has to play or act like the patient, play the role of the patient. The role play card will give you a good outline of the conversation. The role play cards will inform you of the key details about the patient's reason for their appointment. You have to take all the different pieces of information which are in the bullet points, take them into consideration and plan your approach accordingly. You will have 3 minutes time to prepare and 5 minutes time to speak. Here are some strategies. This speaking test It tests your real patient scenario. It's like a hospital situation. So it is called role play because you're enacting the scenario or situation of what you get in the hospital. You're bringing it out here and you're doing the role play, a little skit or drama about how you take care of your patient, how you run consultations, or how you have a counseling with your patient. This test communication is not to test your medical knowledge. It is to analyze your communication skills. So test your communication and not your medical knowledge. The communication is based on the situation, so don't memorize long answers. So criteria you need to look out for are pronunciation, fluency, intonation, grammar, and also you have clinical communication skills which are assessed. Once you join the classes, we'll give you the specific assessment criteria and how many points are allotted for each of the criterion. Establish a relationship, ask for relevant information. During the 3 minutes time, you can ask for any doubts you have or clarify your queries. And once you run the consultation with the patient, you have to be fluent and you can ask for relevant information. It's called information gathering. You can ask the patient for relevant information. Take care that your pronunciation is correct. Speak fluently without too many fillers. Overuse of fillers will bring down your marks on fluency. And check your intonation. Include all information, especially which are in the bullet point. You can make notes during the 3 minutes of preparation and mind the context. You can underline the keywords and the phrases. Use varied vocabulary. For vocabulary also you get marks. Check for intonation and voice modulation. Listen for the ideas, look out for the examples, and just take note, not in full sentences. Be confident, smile, make eye contact, clarify your doubts before you're starting. Let's look at the next slide. Now we come to the writing subtest. Let's look at the description of this test. We totally have 45 minutes for writing, out of which the first 5 minutes goes for reading time. The 40 minutes is for writing. You will have to write approximately 180 to 200 words using the patient's case notes given. So you have only one writing task. You don't have to write more than one letter for the exam. Now, all the information given in the case notes need not be included in your letter. So you have to choose the right content which you require to write the letter. You don't necessarily count the number of words. This 180 to 200 is just to give you an approximate figure of how much you can be writing. Medical and nursing professionals should use the information from the patient's case notes and write the letter. As I said earlier, writing and speaking are profession specific. So you'll have different question papers. Let's look at the strategies for writing. Read the task first. At the end of the case notes, you'll have writing task. Read that first. Familiarize yourself with the introduction. What sort of letter? Just see what sort of letter you have to write. You could get a letter which is a discharge letter, a referral letter, or a transfer letter. Sometimes you may get a letter of information, or you may also get a letter requesting for a home care nurse. Check who you have to write the letter to first before you're starting. And start with who you are in relation to the patient, what part you have played in the patient's treatment. So you have to spend about 30 seconds looking at the writing task before you go on to the remaining case notes. After looking at the writing task, then you look at the case notes from the beginning and scan for relevant details, actively scan, understand the case notes, understand the patient's problem. Based on who you're writing to, you have to choose the content, what you want to include in your letter, and your response. Identify keywords, phrases, information. Write a note form. Take down some notes in note form, just write the words. Complete your letter at least 3 minutes before the end. And the last 3 to 5 minutes you have to spend for editing. You have to use a formal tone. So this is a formal letter, so you can preferably write in passive voice sentences. Use medical terminology wherever it's relevant. But you have to avoid medical terminology for laymen. Laymen are those who are not medical professionals. So when you're writing to a layman, make sure that you don't write much of medical words. If you have to include medical terminology, you have to explain what it means. Think about your response, and when writing the letter, you should not write in note format. You have to write complete sentences with all your grammatical structures. Let's look at the criteria for writing. You have purpose, which is 3 marks, conciseness and clarity. So you have to write concisely. Don't over detail, give the main points, be concise and be crisp with your work. Clarity is to write clearly what you want to communicate, be written clearly with the right choice of words and the correct grammatical structures. It will enhance your clarity. Organization and layout is the structure of the letter. You're supposed to write in a proper format. You have to follow that format. Content is choosing the relevant details which should be included in your letter. You can also exclude some things and details which are not relevant. Genre and style is what type of letter you're writing. You have to write according to that form. And language includes grammar, vocabulary, spelling, punctuation, capital letter rules, and all other topics related to language. Each of these carries 7 marks. Purpose carries 3 marks, and the remaining 5 of these categories carries 7 marks each. So 7 into 5 is 35 plus 3, 38. So total writing is taken on 38. Whatever score you get on each of these will be added up and divided by 38 and multiplied into 500. Therefore, you'll get your OET grade score. Let's look at some general tips now. You have to converse in English regularly, to enable yourself to be confident and to be fluent. Plan your study before you start your exam. Plan time for your training and plan when you're going to write the exam, and when you get your results, plan how you're going to do your processing. So you should plan out and chalk out all your movements clearly, and so that you have a good goal to work on. Read small extracts every day. This helps you with your reading skills and comprehension skills. It also enables you with spellings and speed reading. Give details in writing. So learn to write with proper structures. Even if you're writing a small note or an email or a message on SMS or WhatsApp, please make sure you follow your rules of capitalization or comma rules, punctuation rules, full stop rules. Use all the rules when you're writing so that you write well in your letter writing. Follow the bullet points for structure. So you have bullet points, follow them carefully. When you have bullet points, see that you cover all the bullet points. Correct your errors by repeating the practice test. So even if you've done a practice test and if you've not got full marks, do it again. Keep practicing over and over again. And as always, practice, practice, and practice. And this makes you confident and thorough. So with this, we come to the end of the OET briefing session. We'll meet you in class and we'll go more in depth into each of these subtests. Wish you all the best for your training. Thank you very much. I'll stop sharing my screen now.